Bam. This week at Bungie, Season the Worthy is ready for a departure. Before we talk about anything else, we'd like to maintain your focus on the events unfolding around the world. You may have seen demonstrations in your town, or like many of us here, down the street from the place you call home. When words are not enough, only action can bring about change. Taking a stand against systemic racism, injustice, and prejudice is everyone's responsibility, and it begins with education and engagement. Here's a list of just organizations we encourage you to visit and donate to: blacklivesmatter.com, showingupforracialjustice.org, antiracismcenter.com, EJI.org, and colorlines.com. We at Bungie are making a commitment to stand up on behalf of our black community, including our players, developers, fans, and neighbors. Racial injustice surrounds us, and we need to help create positive change. Bungie is making financial contributions to these organizations and matching donations made by any of the people on our team. This will not be our only contribution to the fight for justice in our country, and globally we have a platform. We plan to use it. Black Lives Matter. And there's the links right there. Highly encourage you to do that. The cool thing about Bungie in doing this, it's not just to save face. A lot of their community managers and developers are all speaking out and mirroring this exact same sentiment, donating themselves, all that kind of stuff. So I fully believe that Bungie is one of the few brands on Twitter and other places that are actually fucking doing something. So I find that to be awesome. Oh, the song command is freaking out. It is! Huh. Why are you doing that, bud? You know what? We're just gonna assume it's just raising the roof. It's hanging out. I'll fix it later. It's fixed. Good job. Support does not end with a single statement or action. We'll continue to use our games and our shared voice to make the world a better place. We hope you'll join in supporting these efforts by visiting following resources noted above and more by getting directly involved. Also, Pride Month. If you hadn't seen the Bungie store announcement, our Pride pins are back in stock. All profits from sales of Bungie Pride pins benefit the It Gets Better project, which inspires people across the globe to share their stories and remind the next generation of LGBTQIA+ youth that hope is out there, and it will get better. We also have some words from the Bungie diversity community speaking to the design of the pin. Our Pride pin was specifically designed to include black and brown stripes in an effort to be inclusive and show support for people of color within the LGBTQIA+ community. In the spirit, we want to continue our support, for all intersectional communities, including LGBTQIA+ individuals who are also part of the black community currently fighting against racial oppression, demanding justice and equality. We can support the Black Lives Matter movement and the LGBTQIA+ community at the same time. Because without the leadership and heroism of transgender black and brown individuals like Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, today's LGBTQIA+ rights would not exist. And so now is time to do more to help both rather than dividing our efforts. If you snag a pin, you'll also receive a code for the True Colors emblem to show your support in-game when playing Destiny 2. So you get the Pride emblem as well. We'll continue sharing Bungie initiatives to support LGBTQIA+ communities throughout the month of June, so stay tuned. Our commitment to racial justice is just getting started, so you expect to hear more soon. Fuck yeah. With Destiny 2, you may have been watching the approach of the Almighty. You are itching to see the conclusion of the season, but you're also starting to hear whispers of what's coming next. Join us Tuesday, June 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific to learn about the future of Destiny 2. There's Twitter. There's a whole website for it, too. I think it's bungie.net/reveal. I forget what it is. There's two things there on Twitter. Preview on 2.9. Destiny 2 Update 2.9.0 will become available next week, meaning we have a pile of patch notes to get through. Oh, really? Dab, great. A few TWaBs back, we talked about the future of Eververse and how we're making changes to some reward structures to better balance gameplay rewards with Eververse content. Season of Redacted will contain a few introductory changes, with more shifts coming in Season 12. The following changes will become available next week. Legendary Armor Ornaments. As noted in previous TWaB, we have shifted the Season 11 armor offering to be a gameplay reward for aspirational content. The Season of Opulence Intrepid ornament sets are returning to the storefront. Season Pass added an additional 2,300 Bright Dust to the Season Pass. Bright Dust purchases added a player section to feature shaders and spawn effects. Highly requested from previous seasons will once again become available. Looking at you, Witches of Sorrow. You'll once again communicate Season 11 silver-only items at the beginning of the season. We are expecting to have an update later in Season 11 on further changes to Bright Dust acquisition. Just keep your eyes peeled. Sandbox. The powerful Friends armor mod will no longer stack. If multiple copies of this mod are equipped, the mods will provide no bonus stats. Thank fucking Christ. Hitting easy 100 mobility without having any mobility on your armor was insane. Only solar seasonal mods are intended to stack. No part of the Arc mods are intended to have stacking functionality. Powerful Friends granted plus 20 mobility to players, which players could leverage to get 3 stat columns to the max of 100 points. The mod is not priced sufficiently to justify its benefits, and increasing its cost would have adverse effects on the primary benefit usage. Season 11 introduces a new Arc mod, getting a similar stat bonus to strength, and will not stack. Oh, there's going to be a strength one. Powerful Fist. I'm all about it. Enhanced auto rifle loader, enhanced fusion rifle loader, and enhanced bow loader armor mods now have a chance to drop from particular mod sources. Raid rewards. The following raid exotics now have increased drop chances, even more. 1,000 Voices to Anarchy and Always on Time, the Sparrow. Drop chance begins at 10% and increases to the max of 50% over 20 clears. So that means it gets, what is 40 divided by 20? 2? Yes. So you get a 2% increase in drop chance over every single clear that you get. So it can still happen, but hopefully you don't get fucked too hard. Trials rewards. Additional masterwork material rewards now drop at 3, 5, and 7 Trials wins. Added Trials weekly bounty, which unlocks Trials endgroups in Saint 14. The bounty reward will match the Win 3 milestone reward of the week. Trials tokens distribution has been rebalanced to focus on wins 3, 5, and 7 of a Trials passage. This includes repeat passages. Trials tokens no longer awarded for match completions. Tokens now granted specifically through wins and bounties. Passage of Wealth now doubles the bonus Trials tokens earned at 3, 5, and 7 Trials wins. Hope you enjoyed this appetizer, full course, and more. Coming on June 9th. See you then. Mixing a green thumb with a bumper jumper. So I heard you like patch note previews. I see UI stuff. So we heard you like patch note previews. They're short, sweet, and to the point. This topic, though, needs a bit more time to get through. Today's staff designer, Lisa Brown, takes center stage to walk us through the upcoming controller remapping feature that the team has been working on. Greetings, Guardians. I'm Lisa, a staff designer on the Sandbox team here at Bungie, and I'm going to give an overview of the controller remapping feature for gameplay actions that will be coming to Destiny for all players of Season of the Redacted. Although we have controller presets in Destiny, there aren't enough to meet basic accessibility guidelines for motor control and mobility. We've been working with some amazing accessibility consultants, Cherry Ray Thompson and Ian Hamilton, to create support for remapping buttons on the controller. Here, I'll give you an overview of how to use the feature, what it can and can't do, then share some setups that have been used by various Bungie employees as examples. As a quick note, all the below examples will be shown using Xbox button layouts. Players can create custom controller layout by going to the controller section of the settings screen and choosing button layout A. Button layout. A custom option is available in the list. Sick. On the screen, you'll be able to customize mappings for gameplay actions on your character and vehicle's general settings. If you're like me and typically use preset other than default, you can use the reset button to start from one of the presets. To rebind a button, select the button mapping next to the action you want, and the next screen will allow you to input the button you want to remap. Verbs. One of the challenges with the controller remapping in Destiny is that we have a lot of player verbs. Think of verbs as actions: throwing grenades, triggering your super, jumping, sprinting, sliding, etc. With PC remapping, there's a whole keyboard at your disposal to map buttons. On the controller, though, there's only so many buttons, and we have many more verbs than buttons. To solve this, we allow a player to map an action not just to a button, but also a type of input. Our 3 supports of input types are press, long press, double press. As an example, some of our exotic weapons, Borealis, Symmetry, and Hardlight, have an alternate weapon action, which has typically been activated by holding the reload button. Now, this can be mapped separately to a different button or a different input. For example, I like to change it from long press X to double press X. Now, when I want to switch Symmetry's firing mode, I double press the X button. For the double press input type, you can also increase the amount of time between button presses for it to register as double press. This option is on the main controller page. Hell yeah. Court support. Oh, there's so much. Oh, fuck. In addition to mapping actions to an individual button, we also support mapping to chords, meaning 2 button presses press simultaneously. In the default layout in Destiny, pressing the left and right bumpers together execute your super is an example of a chord. Here's a custom layout example where players have mapped some of the basic character options, just the face buttons using chords. Long press A and X for alternate weapon action. Oh, nice. All that stuff. Constraints and caveats. All those feature is a step toward greater motor accessibility in Destiny. It is still limited in what it can do. For example, this controller remapping feature is limited to gameplay actions, not UI input or menu navigation. One motor accessibility challenge are inputs that require the player to hold down a button. We have options to switch between holds and toggles for some of our actions, but we were not able to address all cases. Weapon firing, class jump ability, charging grenades, drawing a bow. Yeah. We opted for flexibility in allowing players to map any action to any button and input combination. But that flexibility means there are some combinations that may give unexpected results for the player. Example, if you map melee to press X and some other action is long press X, the melee action resolves for the duration to detect a long press, so the player would always melee and never do the other action. There's no individualized error verification for these cases. This update was just focused on controller remapping, so there are some mappable options that appear here that are not yet available for keyboard remapping. For example, individual mapping for different class abilities, some warlock abilities like Phoenix Dive and Icarus Dash. Our core support is for simultaneous press of 2 buttons only. It does not detect if you press one button, hold it down, and then press another. Unlike our presets, there is no dynamic controller preview image for the custom layout. Oh my goodness, there's so much there. Whew! Here are a few examples of custom mappings that some of our Bungie players enjoy. I'll start with my own. I am typically a jumper player, but I also have a problem with melee on right stick press. Even though it's a faster input for my hand to reach, I am a stress clicker, and many a perfect shot lineup has been ruined by a wayward melee. I needed to move my melee action to something more intentional, so I put it on A, and moved super back the double bumper chord. I put player highlight back on right stick press, but I made my finisher double press A. I also made my alternate weapon action double press X instead of long press, because I prefer that input. Another example is from the left-handed player who typically uses mirror, but wanted a true left-handed experience, so he swapped the function of the face buttons with the D-pad. Actions like reload, jump, crouch, etc. are now on the D-pad buttons, while emotes were mapped to the face buttons. A third Bungie employee really wanted to recreate a classic Halo experience in Destiny. He started with a default layout and switched zoom to toggle on right stick, grenade on left trigger, melee on B. I bet this was Deej. He then mapped a super to A, jump on left bumper, and class ability on right bumper. He also chose to leave heavy attack, light attack, and guard mapped to the original right trigger, right bumper, left trigger mappings. We hope that this feature will make Destiny more accessible and flexible, but do note that this is but one step on Destiny's journey to improve accessibility across the game. We're excited to bring another form of accessibility to Destiny 2, and we'll be watching as this first iteration goes live. That's great. Accessibility in regards to game input is, I think, becoming more and more of a necessity, only because games should be for everybody, right? There's, of course, going to be cases where it's like, you know, you may not know how to deal with a specific, differently able person who just can't use their hands in some way or, can't do everything. But bare minimum, we should try to make the game as accessible to everybody as possible. And even then, the cool thing about those kinds of folks is typically there's customized controllers, like the Xbox accessibility controller, which that thing is fucking awesome. So good. Last call. Pretty much closing time. You don't have to go home, but you definitely get your triumphs done before the service go offline next Tuesday. This is the report. Season the Worthy ends at weekly reset on June 9th. There will be a number of items, activities, and triumphs that will no longer be available. Season Worthy Season Pass and any available bonuses. Season of the Worthy Seal and Almighty Title. Almighty Title must be claimed and equipped. Access the EDZ Moon, Io, and Seraph bunkers. The Warmind, Kanjali seasonal artifact, and player's power increase with that artifact. The Seraph Tower public event. Fourth Horseman, and Felwinter's Light quest. Full list. Bam. Pass these rewards to be claimed here. Is this going to work for me or is it still busted? Oh, it works now. Never mind then. This was not working yesterday, but I wonder if it's because they were doing maintenance on it. Because now it's literally here. Lamau. So, next Tuesday. Maintenance begins at 9 Pacific. Should roll out at 10. D2 comes back online an hour later. 2 p.m., so 4 hours later, it should be fully back online with everything there. Resolved issues. Perfect Fifth is no longer being canceled by a subsequent shot. Dune March's linear actuators perk will now work after triggering on yellow bar enemies. Players on Steam no longer have their FPS locked to all 30 FPS when relaunching the game. Offline players and clans no longer have their name set to offline. Warlock's Celestial Fire melee ability now trigger the Winter's Guile Warlord Sigil perk. Hell yes. There's so many important things going on in the world, it's difficult to maintain focus on much of anything right now. I've been spending a lot of time with friends in Discord servers while hitting weekly milestones, talking to them about their health, thoughts, and feelings concerning current world events. Much of our attention has been on what's happening right outside of our windows. The thing is, this isn't new. This has been happening since well before many of us were born. It's time to listen and learn from our neighbors and communities, check in with your fellow guardians, friends, and family, take action to help them out if or when they need it. It's perfectly okay to press pause, put your controllers down, and focus your attention elsewhere, especially if you're going out there to demand justice to support us and to support the black community. You may find many of us out there with you in the greater Seattle area. Destiny will still be here when you want to sit down for a few games. It's not going anywhere. Be well, be safe, and we'll see you Starside DMG. Bam, done. So yeah, that's about what I expected. I didn't know they were doing like controller remapping stuff right now. That's awesome. That's great.